it was in that moment that your mother came to my aid. She was a very beautiful woman, loving and caring. Nigeria film don't start with that. So let's continue. This becomes log n is equals to 3, s is equals to 3. And finally, that beautiful woman, which was your mother, was able to find solution to the question. And after that moment, anytime I set my eyes on her, I know she will definitely be my wife. But I didn't let her know, because then I was having nothing in my hand. The only money I had then was the money that was not even able to put food on my table for or let's say to eat 3 square meal. So I couldn't ask her. There were so many men coming after her, but I never just knew what your mother saw in me that Nigeria film does start. So let's continue with the next. And hello guys, in this lecture we are going to be looking at indices, the laws of indices, and we are going to be using them to solve questions. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification button, and also comment below. Are we getting it? So that more other people will get to see this video. Thank you. Now, the laws of indices. What are the laws of indices? Now, the laws, we have different laws of indices normally. One of the laws of indices, it says that if you have a raised to the power of m times a raised to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m plus n. Now, if you have a raised to the power of m divided by a raised to the power of n, it's still the same thing as a to the power of m minus n. Now, in the same vein, if you have, let's say, a to the power of 0, this is equal to 1. Anything at all to the power of 0 is equal to what? 1. Are we getting it now? Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So if I give to you 100 to the power of 0, this equals to what? 1. 200 to the power of 0, this equals to what? 1. And so on and so forth. Anything to the power of 0 is equals to 1. Now, the same law states that if you have a to the power of minus n, that is, if your power has a negative value, this will be equals to 1 all over a to the power of n. Now, in the same way, you can come from this side to this direction. That is to say, if you have 1 all over a to the power of n, this can also be written as a to the power of minus n. So if I give you something like 2 to the power of minus 1, what do you think it will be? It will be what? 1 all over 2 raised to the power of 1. So these are the laws of indices. Now, there's another law that says that if you have a over b to the power of, let's say, m, this is the same thing as a to the power of m divided by b to the power of m. Now, in the same way, if you have a over b, then to the power of minus m, now this means you substitute or you change everything inside the bracket, invert them, not substitute, you invert them. The b will come up and the a will come down. So what are we going to have? We have b over a. Is that not so? If we invert, then raised to the power of what? M. The negative will leave there. So if I give you, for instance, 2 raised to the power of 5 to the power of minus 3. What do you think this will be now? The 5 will come up and the 2 will come down. Is that not so?
Yes.
So this will give us what? 5. What will it give to us? 5 over 2. Is that not so? Raised to the power of what? Of 3 in this case. Are we getting it? Our m is 3 in this case. Is that clear? Now, we said that this 5 over 2, like b over a, it can also be expressed as what? B over m all over what? A over m. Is that clear? It can be expressed as what? B over m all over what?
B raised to the
power of m. Sorry, not b over m. Thank you for that correction. It's b raised to the power of what? M all over a raised to the power of what? M. So this same thing can be written as what? 5 to the power of 3 all over what? 2 to the power of 3. So these are the laws of indices. Now we have other laws. For instance, if you have, let's say a root n, it means it means n raised to the power of 1 all over a. It means n raised to the power of 1 all over a. So if I have 3 root 8, what does this mean? It means we have 8 to the power of 1 over 3. It's clear enough, right? It's clear enough. So we are going to use these laws to solve question. Now let's take question 1. Question 1 says simplify this. Simplify this. Now solution to this question. What do we have there? We have 0.027 raised to the power of 2 over 3. Is that not so? So we are going to write it out again. 0.027 to the power of what? 2 over 3. Now the first step we ought to take is convert this to fractional form. Convert this to fractional form. Convert this to fractional form. Now, converting this to fractional form, what are we going to have? You write down the point again, 0.02, or write down the decimal values again, 0.027 divided by, under this point, you are going to put what? 1. Then add zeros till the other numbers are exhausted. So this becomes 0, 0, and what? 0. So 0.027 is now what? This will be bracket 2 over 3. So this 0.027 now will not be 27 all over what? 1000. Is that also raised to the power of 2 over 3. Now the index form of 27 is what? We have 3 raised to the power of 1 is what? 3. 3 square is what? 9. And 3 raised to the power of 3 is what? 27. So in place of 3 raised to the power of 3, what are we going to put there? In place of 27, we can put 3 raised to the power of 3, right? Yes. In place of 27, we can put 3 raised to the power of 3. Now, note that before we can take that step, note that there is a lot of indices that states that a over b raised to the power of m is still the same thing as what? A to the power of m all over what? B to the power of m. So we are going to come here now. Now this is like your A, and this is like your B, and this is like your what? M. So this becomes what? 27 to the power of what? 2 over 3 divided by what? 1000 raised to the power of what? 2 over 3. Is that clear? That is clear enough. Now, your 27 raised to the power of 2 over 3. We said in place of 27, what can we put there? 3 raised to the power of what? 3. In place of 27, what can we put there? 3 raised to the power of 3. Is that not so? So this gives us 3 raised to the power of 3 times, what do we have there? 2 raised to the power of 3 divided by, now 1000 is 10 raised to the power of 1 is what? 10. 10 square is what? 100. And then 10 raised to the power of 10 raised to the power of 3 is what? 1000. 10 raised to the power of 3 is what? 1000. So in place of 1000, we can put 10 to the power of 3. In place of 1000, we can put 10 to the power of what? 3. So this becomes 10 to the power of 3 times 2 over 3. 3 can cancel 3. 3 can cancel 3. So what are we left with here? 3 square all over what? 10 square. 3 square is what? 9. All over 10 square is what? 100. So the correct answer to this question is what? 9 over 100. So if you simplify this, 0.027 raised to the power of 2 over 3, the correct answer is what? 9 over 100. 9 over 100. And that makes sense. Now let's consider another example. Let's take another example. Now, the next example says simplify this. Simplify the following. Now, what are we going to do? Write solution. Let's take it gently. Now, having written solution, we have the square root. Let's write out the question again. The square root of what? 72. A to the power of 3. Is that also? Yes. B to the power of what? 2. Minus 2. All over 2 times a to the power of 5 and b to the power of minus 6. Now, do you know that 72 can divide 2? If 72 divides 2, what are we going to have? 36. So, we are going to have the square root of what? 36. Now, if this a comes up, it becomes a raised to the power of what? 3 times what? A raised to the power of... Let's take it gradually. Let me make it easy for us. Now we have 72 divided by 2 is what? 36. Is that also? Yes. Now, this a raised to the power of 3. If this a raised to the power of 5 comes up, what will it become? This one becomes a raised to the power of 3 times... Now, if a raised to the power of 5 crosses up, becomes negative, right? Yes. So this becomes what? A to the power of what? Minus 5. Now, that makes sense. Now, let's continue. Times, we have b to the power of minus 2. If this b to the power of minus 6 crosses up, what will it become? Positive. It will become positive, right? So, positive 6. Now, this makes sense now. At this point in time, we can now apply the laws of indices. So this gives us the square root of 36. Now, we have a and a. The bases are equal. So what do we do to the power? Add them. Now, this becomes 3 plus times minus 5. Plus times minus is what? Minus. So this becomes 3 minus 5. And 3 minus 5, let's write it out. 3 minus 5 to prevent confusion. Then we have b. I will have minus 2 plus what? 6. Because the bases are equal. What do you do to the power? You add them. The bases are equal. What do you do to the power? You add them. Are we getting that now? And this will become the square root of 36. Then a to the power of minus 2 times minus 2 plus 6 is what? Minus 2 plus 6 is what? Is plus 4. Now, when you say minus 2 plus 6, it means if we want to take the illustration, you are owing somebody 2 naira and you have 6 naira. If you give the person 2 naira, how much are you having? 4 naira. Now, the one that you have is positive. Are you getting it now? So, whenever you are subtracting in a small number from a bigger number, it's just like 6 minus 2. Do you get it now? It's just minus 2 plus 6 is like 6 minus 2. Is that clear? Minus 6 plus 2 is just like 6 because this is plus 6. Plus 6 minus 2. Do you get it now? So minus 6 plus 2 is what? I mean plus 2, 6 minus 2 is 4. So this is b raised to the power of 4. I believe that is clear enough. Now, we are going to do something quickly. This is 36. Now, 36 is the same thing as what? 36. If we find the square root of everything inside the bracket, we are going to have something like this. This becomes the root, look at what I'm going to do here, of 36 times, do you know that a raised to the power of minus 2 is still the same thing as 1 all over a square? It's still the same thing, right? So this becomes 1 all over a square. Now this square root covers everything here, times b to the power of what? 4. Now the square root of 36 is what? Square root of 36 is what? 6. Now times square root of 1 is what? 1. Square root of a square is what? A. Square root of a square is what? A. Times square root of b raised to the power of 4 is what? B square. Are you getting it now? Just like you have b to the power of 4. If you square root this, it will give you what? B square. Exactly. Why? Because b raised to the power of 4 is the same thing as b square, then like this. So when this square cancels this square, what are we left with? B square. Exactly enough. So our answer will be 6 times 1 times b square. 6 times 1 times b square is what? 6b square all over what? A. And that is the answer to this question. I believe it's clear enough, right? Now let's go to the next. Let's go to the next question. The next question says, simplify the following. AB to the power of 3 times 3 root a raised to the power of n all over a raised to the power of m plus n over 3 times b to the power of 2m minus n. Now, if you have something like this, how do you solve it? First of all, we write out the equation again. If we write out the equation again, what are we going to have here? AB raised to the power of 3, right? Bracket what? M times 3 root a to the power of what? M all over a to the power of m plus what? N over 3 times what? B 2m minus what? N. Now, when you have anything like this, the first thing is to make sure that all square roots and all power, all brackets are open, all square roots are expressed in their fractional form or in the best way possible. Now, what we are going to do now, use m to open through the bracket. Note that there's an invisible one here. If you use m to open through the bracket, what are we going to have? This one will be what? A to the power of what? M, then b. Now, m times 3 will give us 3m. Is that not so? Times. Now, remember I said in our initial discussion that if you have, let's say, if you have n root a, is still the same thing as a raised to the power of what? 1 over n. Now, that's what we are going to do here. This 3 root a n, it means a to the power of what? N times 1 all over what? 3. Do you get the point now? That's it. All over. Then we have a to the power of m plus n over 3 times b, then 2m minus n. Now, at this point in time, what do you think we can do? Can we do anything tangible? Yeah, we can do something. Now, what we are going to do is use this n to multiply this one so that we'll have something reasonable. This will be a raised to the power of m times b to the power of what? 3m times a. N times 1 is what? N. Then we have all over 3, right? Now, divided by, this becomes a to the power of m plus n all over 3 times b to the power of 2m minus n. Is that not clear? Now, According to the law of indices, when the bases are equal, what do you do to the power? You add them. Now, we are going to bring these two things together in such a way that this base and this base will bring them together. So what are we going to have here? A to the power of m times what? If this other a comes here, it will become what? A to the power of what? N over 3. Is that not so? Times b to the power of 3m. Everything all over a to the power of m plus n all over 3 times b to the power of 2m minus n. Now, if the bases are equal, what do you do to the power? You add them if multiplication is in between them. Are we getting it now? So this gives us a. Now, we are going to add these two, right? So this gives us m plus what? N over 3 times b to the power of 3m divided by a to the power of m plus n all over 3 times b to the power of 2m minus n. Now, you can see that this part of the equation and this part are the same, right? Our multiplication is in between them. So what do? You can cancel out this and this. Is that clear enough? So what are we left with? B to the power of what? 3m all over b to the power of 2m minus n. Now, according to the law of indices, when the bases are equal, now, this same thing means b to the power of 3m, leave here, divided, I said leave here, b raised to the power of 2 m minus n. That is the meaning of this sign. This sign here means what? Division. So we have b raised to the power of 3m divided by b raised to the power of 2m minus n. And this becomes b. Now, if division is in between them and the bases are equal, what do we do to the power? Subtract. Is that not so? So this gives us 3m minus bracket 2m minus n. Now, make sure that you do this. Hence, your answer will be wrong. So if this minus open true, you have b 3m minus 2m minus times minus is what? Plus n. And this becomes b 3m minus 2m is what? M plus n. And that is the solution to that question. So
just to say that when b is going upward, the basis will turn to negative.
No, this one, it didn't go upward. Are you getting it now? If I were to do it like that, it will now be b to the power of 3m times this one now will now become negative to give us b minus 2m minus bracket what? N. It will still give us the same thing. You get the point now? Because this one now will be b 3m, then we have minus bracket 2m minus n. To still give us the same thing. So all what I did was I divided. Instead of putting multiplication, let the division sign be there. Are you getting it now? So that was how this one gave us this. And this become b 3m. This times this is what? Minus 2m. And then minus times minus is what? Plus n. This becomes bm plus n. That is the solution to that question. Let's look at the next question. Now the next question says, show that log this whole thing is equals to this. Now this is logarithm. And then the laws of logarithm that we are going to take cognizance of are these ones. Now, the laws of logarithm says that if you have log a b, this is the same thing as what? Log a times log b. Are you getting it now? So if we have log a over b, it's still the same thing if you have log A over B, it means log A minus log B. That is the meaning. Now, if you have log A raised to the power of n, now what this means is the n will come back, so you have n log A. Now, if you have log to base A of A, this will cancel out to give us 1. So in that vein, if I have log 10 to base 10, this will be what? 1. Are you getting it now? So these are the various laws of logarithm. These are the various laws. This is called the multiplication law, the division law, and the power law. So let's go back to that question and apply everything that we just learned now. Now, the question says show that log this is equal to this. Now, having known everything that we just did now, what we are going to do now is use this log to open through everything. Now, this will be log. Then we have s to the power of 7 plus y, because what we have here is multiplication. Are you getting it now? So log s to the power of 7, this multiplication. So this becomes plus log root what? Y square minus. Now minus because what we have here is what? Is division. Are you getting it now? What we have here is what? Division. And from the table I gave, if division is there, A over B, it means it will be what? Minus. Exactly enough. So we come here and say minus log. This will be minus log. What are we going to have here? 16. Are you getting it now? Then minus log s to the power of what? 5. Are you getting it now? Then minus log. Then what do we have here? Z raised to the power of 6. In the question here, there is 6 here. So let's take note of that. So we want to show that this whole thing here is equal to what we have here. This whole stuff here is equal to what we have here. That is what the question asks us to do. Now, what are we going to do? According to the laws of logarithm. Now, we said if we have log a to the power of n, that is, there's a power. What happens? The power will come back, right? Then multiply by what? What we have there. Now, same thing is applicable here. If you have log s to the power of 7, 7 will come back. So this becomes 7 log what? X. Is that clear enough? Now, same thing is applicable here. This is log y to the y square. Now, this is log y to the power of 3, not square. Y to the power of 3. So this is plus log y to the power of 3 times. Now, this square root, if you have root y to the power of 3, it means y to the power of 3 times 1 all over what? 2. Because of the square root here. So this becomes 3 times 1, which is what? 3 over 2. Y to the power of 3 over 2. So we have log y to the power 1 times 2 minus our normal log 16. This 5 will come back, and this gives us minus 5 log x minus 6 log z. So this will give us 7 log x plus 3 times this will be log y to the power of 3 over 2 minus log 16 minus 5 log what? X minus 6 log z. And this gives us 7 log x plus, now this 3 over 2 will cross to the other side of the equation. So we have 3 over 2 log y minus log 16 minus 5 log x minus 6 log z. Now, at the end of the day, what should we do? We have 7 log s here, and we have 7 log s here, and 5 log s here, rather. So long they are log s, they can subtract each other, right? So take this one to this side. This becomes 7 log what? X minus 5 log x plus what? 3 over 2 log y minus log 16 minus log 6 log what? Z. Now 7 log s minus 5 log s is what? 2 log x plus 3 all over what? 2 log y minus log 16 minus 6 log z. Now everything total to give us this value we have here. This is supposed to be 3 over 2, not 2 over 3. Let me check the question again. Okay, this 2 over 3. Okay, it was corrected later on in the question. So this question has so many issues that were corrected. It was corrected later on in the question. So that is the correct answer to this question. Okay, now let's look at the next. The next question says that solve the following equation. Now this equation is very tactical because it's going to lead us to quadratic equation. But let's solve it together. Now you are given 2 raised to the power of 2x plus 1. Now according to the law of indices, according to what we said, if you have, let's say, a to the power of m times a to the power of n, this can be written as what? A raised to the power of n plus what? N. Now in the same vein, if you have a to the power of m plus n, can also be written as a to the power of m times a to the power of what? N. Is that clear enough? So if I have this something written like this, it's more like solution. Let me rewrite everything again. 2s plus 1 minus 9 raised to the power of 2 raised to the power of x plus 4 is equal to 0. And this becomes 2 raised to the power of 2x times 2 raised to the power of 1. Why? Because the bases are equal. It's more like 2 raised to the power of x plus 1, which is equals to 2 raised to the power of what? This is 2x times 2 raised to the power of 1. The bases are equal. If you add the power, it's going to give us this in return. So we have to express it that way. Now the reason we have to express it that way will be made known to us as time progresses. Now we have minus 9 bracket 2 raised to the power of x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now the reason why we solve mathematics is to make things easier. Now we can decide to say let this be equals to 2 raised to the power of x, then square it, because 2 times x will give us 2x, which is still the same thing with what we have here. We can decide to say 2 raised to the power of 2x be written as 2 raised to the power of x square. 2 times x is what? 2x, so it's still the same thing. Times, now 2 raised to the power of 1 is still the same thing as what? 2 minus, then 9 bracket 2 raised to the power of x plus 4, and this is equal to 0. Now from, we can say let y be equals to 2 raised to the power of s. Let y be equals to 2 raised to the power of x. Let y be equals to 2 raised to the power of x. Let y be equal to 2 raised to the power of s. Now if y is equals to 2 raised to the power of s, what does it mean? It means that wherever we see 2 raised to the power of x, we are going to put the value of what? Y. Wherever we see 2 raised to the power of s, we are going to put the value of what? Y. So this gives us, in place of 2 raised to the power of s here, what are we going to put here? Y. Then we said it is what? Squared. Times 2 minus 9. There's 2 raised to the power of x here. So this gives us y plus 4. Everything equals to 0. Now we are doing this in order to make the equation look like a quadratic equation. We solve it normal quadratic way, and then from there we come back again. So this will now give us y. This becomes y squared times 2 minus 9y plus 4, everything equal to 0. 2 times y squared is what? 2y squared minus 9y plus 4 is equal to 0. So we have 2y squared minus 9y plus 4 equals to 0. Now we are going to use quadratic equation to solve this. Now, using factorization method, what are those two values that when you multiply them, they will give you, first of all, we need to find the product. Now, product is use 2y squared to multiply 4. Use 2y squared to multiply 4. Use 2y squared to multiply 4. If you use 2y squared to multiply 4, it's going to give us what? 8y squared. Now, we'll now look at the sum. What are those two values that when you add them, they will give us minus 9y, and when you multiply them, they will give us 8y squared. Now, those values are minus y and minus 8y. Minus y times minus 8y will give us plus 8y squared, and then minus y minus 8y will give us minus what? 9y. So we are going to use those two values. So this becomes 2y squared minus, in place of 9y, we are going to put minus y minus 8y. Minus y minus 8y plus 4 equal to 0. Now what is common between these two? Y is common. So this becomes y bracket 2y minus 1 minus, then what is common between these two? Here is what? Minus 4 is common. So this becomes 2y minus 1. Everything is equal to 0. Now, have we gotten that? What we do is collect one of those in the bracket, which is 2y minus 1, and then collect this y and this minus 4. Y minus 4 equal to 0. Now, when you have something like this, what do? Say this becomes 2y minus y is equals to 0, and y minus 4 is equal to 0. From our basic factorization of quadratic equation. Now, this becomes 2y minus 1 is equal to 0. This will give us what? 2y. If minus 1 crosses here, what will it become? 1. Is that not so? Then we have divide both sides by 2 to get y. If you divide both sides by 2, our y is what? 1 over 2. And at the same time, y minus 4 is equal to 0. So y will be equals to what? If minus 4 crosses here, what will it become? 4. So you see that our y is half, and at the same time, our y is equal to 4. Now, but this is not our answer. Initially, y was a substitution. Our values given in the question was x. But we know, let's come here now. Our values gotten are y is equals to half and y is equals to 4. But we know that y is 2 raised to the power of s. Y is 2 raised to the power of what? X. So wherever you see y, we are going to put half and 4. So you say, when y is equals to half, what will be our x? In place of y here now, you are going to put what? Half. So this gives us 1 over 2 is equals to 2 raised to the power of x. Now 1 over 2 is still the same thing as what? 2 minus 1. Is that also? 2 minus 1 is the same thing as 1 all over 2. 2 minus 1 is the same thing as 1 all over 2. From the principle that says a minus n is the same thing as 1 all over a raised to the power of 1. 2 minus 1, 2 raised to the power of minus 1 is the same thing as 1 all over 2. So this is equals to 2 raised to the power of x. 2 cancels 2. x is equals to minus 1. So our first s, when y is equals to half, s is minus 1. Now the next one is when y is equals to 4. Our y is 2 raised to the power of x. So in place of y, we are going to put 4. So here it becomes 4 is 2 raised to the power of what? X. And at this point in time, 4 is, we have 2 raised to the power of 1 is 2. 2 raised to the power of 2 is what? 4. 2 raised to the power of 3 is what? 8. So 2 raised to the power of 2 is what? 4. Here you put 2 raised to the power of 2, which equals to 2 raised to the power of x. 2 cancels 2, x is equal to 2. And that is the solution to the question. So our x is equals to minus 1 and x is equals to 2 is the solution to that question. So this question has the solution of s is equals to minus 1 and s is equals to what? 2. Now let's progress to the next question. The next question says solve the following. 3 times 9 to the power of 1 plus x is equals to 27 to the power of x. When you have anything like this, the first step you take is to make everything to be in the same base. Is to make everything to be in the same word base. Now the lowest base here that can go into everything here is 3. So make everything to base 3. Now you now come here and say 3 raised to the power of 1 is what? 3. 3 to the power of 2 is what? 9. 3 to the power of 3 is what? 27. I believe we've gotten everything that we want. So we come here and say 3 times, what is 9? 3 square. Then we have bracket 1 plus x. What is 27? 3 to the power of what? 3. Is that also bracket x? This becomes 3 times 3. 2 times 1 is what? 2. Plus 2 times x is what? 2x is equals to 3. 3 times s is what? 3x. Now, at this point, note that this is raised to the power of what? 1. Is that not so? This raised to, when you see 3 standing on its own, it means that 3 is raised to the power of 1. Now, the bases are equal. What do you do to the power if multiplication is in between them? Add. So this becomes 3 to the power of 1 plus 2 plus 2x is equal to 3 to the power of 3x. So this cancels this. 1 plus 2 is what? 3. Plus 2x is equal to 3x. If 2s crosses to this side, 3 will be equals to what? 3s minus 2s. 3s minus 2s is what? X. So your x is equal to 3. Your s is equals to 3. Your s is equals to 3 is the solution to that question. Your s is equals to 3. Now let's look at the next. The next one says shows that 3 raised to the power of n minus 1 times 3 raised to the power of 1 minus n is equal to 1. Show that 3 raised to the power of n minus 1 times 3 raised to the power of 1 minus n is equals to what? 1. Now this is very easy. This is very easy. How do we solve this question? The bases are equal. So what do you do to the power? You add them. So this gives us what? 3. And here is what? N minus 1 plus 1 minus what? N. We must show that this is equals to what? 1. So it means that this side of the equation must be equal to 1. Now, how do we show that? This becomes 3. Collect like terms. N. If this n comes here, what will it become? Minus n. Then we have minus 1 plus 1. This must be equal to 1. And this becomes 3. N minus n is what? 0. Minus 1 plus 1 is what? 0. This equals to 1. Now, this becomes 3 raised to the power of 0 plus 0 is 1. It's equals to 1. And any 3 raised to the power of 0 is what? 1. So 1 is equals to 1. So you successfully shown that 3 raised to the power of n minus 1 times 3 raised to the power of 1 minus n is equal to what? 1. Are you getting that? I believe that is clear enough. Now, let's look at the next. Show that this is equals to 4. Now, told you that wherever you have something like this, what do you normally do? This is 3 cube root of 8 square. Now, you can always write this as what? 8 square times 1 all over what? 3. From the law that says if you have a raised to the power of n, it becomes, you write it as n to the power of 1 all over what? A. So this 8 square, 1 all over 3. 8 square, 1 all over 3. Where your 3 now is like your what? N. So, what is 8? We say 2 raised to the power of 1 is 2. 2 raised to the power of 2 is what? 4. And 2 raised to the power of 3 is what? 8. So, our 8 is 2 raised to the power of 3. Are you getting it now? Then, bracket 2 times 1 all over 3. And this will give us 2. 3 times 2 is what? 6 times 1 all over 3. This cancels, this is 2. So this becomes 2 square, and 2 square is what? 4. So you've shown that this is equals to 4. These are very basic mathematics that each and every one of us need to have idea of before now. Now, let's continue with the next quest. But before then, make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification button, and also share with your friends. Tell them, share with them. Let's enjoy the class together. Are we getting it now? Because life is like a fan. It rotates and rotates. Are you getting it? You may be the one that will be affected tomorrow. So make sure you share it to everybody. Even me, I don't know what I'm saying, but just make sure you share it to everybody. Okay, the next one is we are asked to show that this is equals to 1. Wow. This looks intimidating, man. It looks very, very intimidating. But then we are going to solve it together. Now, the most important thing we are going to make use of here is the law that states that if we have a to the power of m times a to the power of n is a to the power of m plus what? N. So we can reverse it and say a to the power of m plus n is the same thing as a to the power of what? M times a to the power of what? N. So that is the one that we are going to use to solve this. It looks intimidating, but I like challenging questions. Questions that may seem somehow difficult. But this one is not even difficult. Anyways, when you see some questions, you're going to run. So we have 8 to the power of y plus 2. This can also be written as, can we say this can also be written as, how do we go about this? How do we go about this? Can we think together? How do we go about this? My full pattern is not. How do we go about this? How do we go about this? How do we go about this? Now, let's say you have showed that this is equals to this. Now, first of all, let's break everything down into their base index. Now, the base index here is 2. 2 is the smallest here, and 2 can go into 8. 2 can go into 4. So let's break everything down into 2. Now, note that 2 raised to the power of 1 is what? 2. 2 to the power of 2 is what?
4.
And 2 to the power of 3 is what? 8. Are you getting it now? So wherever we see 8, we can put 2 to the power of 3, right? So we can say solution. Let's go. This will be what? 2 to the power of what? 3, bracket, y plus what? 2, minus 6, bracket, 2 to the power of what? 3y plus 3. Is that also? All over. Then we have 2 to the power of y, bracket what? 2 to the power of 2. Is that also? Then bracket y plus 2. Is that clear enough? Now, at this point in time, let's use the 3 to open through the bracket. I use this one 2 to open through the bracket. So what are we going to have? We have 2 to the power of what? 3y plus, Because 3 times y is what? 3y. And 3 times 2 is what?
6.
6. Minus 6 bracket 2 to the power of 3y plus 3. 3y plus 3. And then all over 2 raised to the power of y. Then bracket. Now we have 2. 2 times y is what? 2y. Plus 2 times 2 is what? 4. That is clear enough, right? 2 times 2 is what? 4. Now, at the end of the day, what do you think we cannot do here? We can still do something here. Now, let's make everything to be... Let's take everything back to their normal form, applying this principle that if we have a to the power of m plus n, it can also be written as a to the power of m times a to the power of what? N. Let's apply it here. So this will be equals to, if you have 2 raised to the power of 3y plus 6, do we know that this can also be written as 2 raised to the power of 3y times 2 raised to the power of 6? True or false? True. Because the bases are equal. 2 collect 2 and then add the power. 3y plus 6 will give us this same thing again. Then minus 6. This whole thing can also be written as what? 2 to the power of what? 3y times 2 raised to the power of what? 3. And then we have divided by, this can also be written as 2 to the power of y times 2 to the power of 2y times 2 to the power of 4. Because the bases are equal. If you add the power, this is 2y plus 4, which is still the same thing as what we have here. Now, at this point in time, let's take it gently. What do you think we can now do? Let's fix the denominator first. This becomes 3y times 2 raised to the power of 6 minus 6 bracket 2 to the power of 3y times 2 to the power of 3 divided by, now, what do we have here? We have 2 and 2. If the bases are equal, what do we do to the power? Add them. So this becomes 2. Y plus 2y is what? 3y. Abi? Times 2 raised to the power of 4. So at every quarter of the question now, we have 2 raised to the power of 3y and 2 raised to the power of what? 3y. So 2 raised to the power of 3y is common to both sides of the equation, right? So we can take it out. So this gives us 2 raised to the power of what? 3y bracket. If we remove 2 raised to the power of 3y from here, what will be left here? 2 raised to the power of 6 is that also minus 6 bracket. If we remove 2 raised to the power of 3y, what will be left here? 2 raised to the power of what? 3. Is that also? Then all over. Here we have 2 raised to the power of 3y times 2 raised to the power of what? 4. Now, 2 raised to the power of 3y can cancel 2 raised to the power of what? 3y. True or false? True. So what are we left with here? 2 raised to the power of 6. So this gives us 2 raised to the power of 6 minus 6 bracket 2 raised to the power of 3. 2 raised to the power of 3 is what? 8. Divided by 2 raised to the power of 4. So this gives us 2 raised to the power of 6 is 64 minus 6 times 8 is what? 48. Everything divided by 2 raised to the power of 4 is 16. And this becomes 64 minus 48 is 16 divided by 16. 16 divided by 16 is what? 1. 16 divided by 16 is what? 1. So we've shown that this entire thing here is equal to 1. Is that not easy? It's pretty easy. If you know that this one will give you some tough time, I suggest that you actually go over it over and over again. You go over it over and over again. Now let's continue to the next. The next question says log. Let's take a break. By playing with this thing, and this gives us 4x minus 5 equal to log 6 to x plus 1. And this will be like, my son, while I was going to school during your age, I was given a question like this. And the question proved difficult. It was in that moment that your mother came to my aid. She was a very beautiful woman, loving and caring. Nigerian film, don't start with that. So let's continue. This becomes log 6 bracket 4x minus 5. And then, since the logs are the same, what do you think we can do here? We can cancel this and this out, right? So we are left with 4x minus 5 is equals to 2x plus 1. And then this will give us collect like terms. This becomes 4x minus 2x is equals to what? 1 plus 5. Is that not so? So 4x minus 2x is what? 2x. 1 plus 5 is what? 6. So divide both sides by 2. What are we going to have? Let's cancel this, and n is equals to what? 3. N is equals to 3. S is equals to 3. And finally, that beautiful woman, which was your mother, was able to find solution to the question. And after that moment, anytime I set my eyes on her, I know she will definitely be my wife. But I didn't let her know, because then I was having nothing in my hand. The only money I had then was the money that was not even able to put food on my table for or let's say to eat 3 square meal. So I couldn't ask her. There were so many men coming after her, but I never just knew what your mother saw in me that Nigeria film does that. So let's continue with the next. And this, I think this is the final question for this session. This is the final question. Now, the question says 3 raised to the power of 5s minus 8. And this is equals to 9 raised to the power of what? S plus 2. Is that not so? Now, what do you think we can do here? Make the bases equal, right? Can make the bases equal. Now, we said 3 raised to the power of 1 is what? 3. 3 squared is what? 9. 3 raised to the power of 3 is what? 27. You should know this thing. Juggle them in your head. 3 raised to the power of 1 is 3. 3 raised squared is 9. 3 is 27. And so on and so forth. Are you getting it? If you have these ideas, then this whole thing will become very easy. So we say 3 raised to the power of 5s minus 8 is equal to 9. So in place of 9, we can put 3 what? Square. In place of 9, what can we put there? 3. In place of 9, what can we put there? 3 square. So this becomes 3 raised to the power of 5x minus 8. And this becomes 3 square, then bracket s plus what? 2. Is that not so? So now this becomes 3 raised to the power of 5x minus 8 is equals to 3 raised to the power of 2 times x is what? 3x. Plus 2 times 4 is what? 2 times 2 is what? 4. Now the bases are equal and they are opposite sides of the equation, so you can cancel them out. So this gives us 5x minus 8 is equals to 2s plus what? 4. 5s minus 8 is equals to 2s plus what? 4. 5s minus 8 is equals to 2s plus what? 4. We can collect like terms. Let 2s comes here. So what are we going to have? 5s minus 2s is equal to what? 4 plus what? 8. 5s minus 2s is what? 3s. 4 plus 8 is what? 12. So divide both sides by 3. If this cancels this, your s will be equals to 12 divided by 3 is what? 4. 12 divided by 3 is what? 12 divided by 3 is what? 4. And that is the solution. Now, for you to check if your answer is correct, let's just check for this one to see if our answer is correct. Now, for us to check, this becomes 3 raised to the power of 5x minus 8 is equals to 9s plus 2. Now, what can we do? We can substitute in 4 wherever we see s, right? This becomes 3 raised to the power of 5 bracket 4 minus 8 is equals to 9. 4 plus 2. And this gives us 3. 5 times 4 is what? 20 minus 8 is equals to 9. 4 plus 2 is what? 6. And this becomes 3 raised to the power of 20 minus 8 is what? 12. Is that not so? Now, do we know that 9 is 3 square? So we say 3 square bracket 6, which is 3 raised to the power of 12 is 3 raised to the power of 2 times 6 is what? 12. So the equation is correct. And we have finally come to the end of today's lecture. I believe you enjoyed your time here. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification button, and also please make sure you share this video, share this lecture with your friends, the ones that you know that they are not too very good in mathematics, so that they can practice and get good grades. Thank you for your time and God bless.